Hey guys, this is OffTopicGames here with another deck profile for you guys. This one it's a really fun deck. This one's on the Maiden of series from Nectar. I actually bought this deck as like a $30 deck. It's kind of budgety, but it's really fun, and it's actually really good. It's not your average like top tier meta deck, but it's a pretty good deck. So let's first get into our deck list. For our starting Vanguard, we run the Maiden of Noiset. What it does is you counterblast one. It's a counterblast one Maiden of, and then you put this unit into your soul. So it's in a special counterblast of Maiden of, and you put it into your soul as a cost. What it does is you choose two Maiden ofs. It gets the power. It gets the effect when they hit. It's a auto ability, Vanguard Rearguard. When they hit, you draw a card. So it's a pretty nice card. If you hit with two things, you get it's a +1. So it's pretty good. Or just you put it into the soul and you get on hit pressure. So that's pretty nice. It's a pretty good card. It's also a Maiden of, which is pretty important. So for our grade 3s, we run 4. The Legion is Maiden of Rambling Rose. It legions with Maiden of Trailing Rose, which you see here. It's a 22k Legion. And then when you ride this Vanguard, this card, you can Soul Blast 2, and then choose a card grade 1 or lower on your field and copy it. So yeah, you superior call it the same copy from your deck. And then when you Legion, you choose a card from your hand, discard it. You choose two cards on your Vanguard that's the same name, and you call one to rearguard and add it to your hand, I believe. Yes. Yeah, so you search two cards from your that's on the same name as your Vanguard, so either this or Trailing Rose. You call one and put one into your hand. So I believe that's a +1. It's kind of like the cross, but it's a bit different. But yeah, it's pretty cool because it kind of fuels. If you want to like loop the Legion, it just works with itself. So all you need is these two, and you'll get one of each copy, a certain copy from your hand, and you Soul Blast the previous Legion out. So yes, and then we have the other grade 3. It's Maiden of Trailing Rose. It's kind of like Dote, but it's not as good. What it does is it counterblasts 1 and you Persona Blast it. When it hits, you search top 5 for 2 cards and call them to your rearguard circle. So it's pretty nice. It gives on hit pressure. It's good for, I guess, people who are playing the grade 2 game, but it's honestly, I don't find myself using the grade 3s too much besides the on ride skill, because normally the game ends pretty fast, so I don't get to loot my Legions too much. But yeah, so that's it for the grade 3s. For our grade 2s, we run Maiden of Damask Rose. This card is actually really good. It's an on-hit skill, 9k. You counterblast one Maiden of name, so it's a special counterblast. When this unit hits Vanguard, you basically search your deck for grade 3. It's pretty good. Grade 3 or greater, actually. You reveal it and you put it in your hand. So it's actually really good. It helps if you're grade locked, and it also searches for like a stride target, or a stride fodder target. So it's pretty nice to have. The grade 2s, you need to know that a lot of the cards in here are Maiden ofs, because it's kind of important with a special counterblast and the strides that we'll get into later. But next, for our grade 2s, we run 4 Maiden of Flower Screen. It's a GB1 effect once per turn. What it does is you put a normal unit back to your deck and you copy something. It's not too important, it's mainly for the name, but it's kind of nice because we are running units that boost the same copies. So I'll show you that later. Next we have Maiden of Gladiolus. What it does is, it's from the trial deck. It's Counterblast 1, GB1. When you attack and you boost, you choose a card and call a card from your deck. That's other than the this specific card. So it's pretty nice. It's also Maiden of, but it gives you more attacks per turn, and it tutors into cards that you need. So it's a +1. There's certain plays that you can do with Flower Screen that I forgot to mention, but I will do later on, or I can do it now, I guess. So what Maiden of the Screen does is it copies a different unit's name, right? But it also retains this girl's effect as well, Maiden of Flower Screen. So let's say I copy Maiden of Gladiolus. Now, this card has two different names, Maiden of Gladiolus and Maiden of Flower Screen. I'll share this a little bit early, but this grade 3 it gives 3 units plus 5k, and then 3 front row units plus 5k. And on hit, search your deck for a card with the same name as a unit on your Vanguard or Rearguard circle. So you activate this to copy this. So it has 2 names. Now let's say for some reason this card goes away. What's nice to note is that if you hit with this card, or any card in general, you can still search for either Maiden of Flower Screen or a Maiden of Gladiolus, because this card is 2 names basically. Yeah. Sorry, I was kind of a bit off topic, but that was just something that, like a small thing that may matter in the future. For grade 1s, our perfect guards, we run Cherry Blossom, Blizzard Maiden Lilga. It's the Bloom PG. When you call another of this card, you can counterblast 1, bump all of them up to your hand. Or I believe it's up to 4 up to your hand. Yes, up to 5, sorry. So it's actually a really good card. Personally, it's probably better if you have Maiden of Passion Flower, I believe the name is. It's the Unflipper PG. Not only is it a Maiden of, but it's also an Unflipper. And this deck kind of counterblasts a lot, so it's very nice to have. But this is kind of like a budgety deck, and I thought this was nice. I bought them each for $1. The deck originally came with 100% orange. You can run those 2 if you want. Or if you're OG, you can run the Maiden of Blossom Rain. It's also the old Perfect Guard, so it does guard rear guards. But it also is a Maiden of target, so you can use it for like counterblast and stuff. So that's kind of nice. Regardless, this is okay. I run a Primavera in here. So if you call this to rear guard, you can, when your Primavera attacks, you search up to 2 more, counterblast 1, and then you just pop them all back to your hand. So that's pretty nice. Next for our grade 1s, we run Maiden of Rambler. It's kind of like our Stride Fodder for the deck. It's actually a lot better than other Stride Fodders, but it has like a condition. It's kind of weird actually. So what it specifically does is, in your hand, when you're paying the cost for Stride, if you have Vanguard with Maiden of in its card name, this card gets +1. So obviously you'll always have a Maiden of Vanguard. It only gets +1 and it's grade 1, so it'll become grade 2, which means you need to discard another card. But you make up for this because when you use this card to Stride from your when this card is put into your drop zone from your hand as cost of Stride, if you have a Vanguard with Maiden of in its card name, which you always will, right? You call this card to rear guard and you draw a card. So it's actually just like a +1. It's really good. To explain on that, normally when you are on like a grade 3 or something and you discard 1 card to Stride, it's always a break even because you drive check an extra card, right? So here I discard 2 cards, which is a -1. But this card activates, so I draw a card, that's break even, and I call 1 card to rear guard, so that's +1. It's pretty simple, but it's a really nice card. It isn't as good when you have to like top deck for your Stride. You have like 0 cards in hand and you draw this. It's kind of like feels bad, but it's okay. I mean, it happens, right? So, yep. Next for our grade 1s, we run 4 Maiden of Waterpot. It's a pretty good card. It's not too bad, but personally, I think we kind of need it. What it is when your another card is called to the rear guard from your deck, you can put this into your soul and put a normal unit from your drop zone to your deck. You countercharge 1 and draw a card. So this card is pretty good because it fuels soul and you draw a card and you unflip a card, and it leaves more more space for other cards that can be called probably during your battle phase. So it's a pretty nice card. I believe it's pretty needed. It's not broken, but it's okay. We run 4 of it. Next, lastly, for our grade 1s, we have 2 Maiden of Kana. This is what I was talking about earlier. It's a Maiden of, and what it does is you counterblast 1, put this unit into your soul, choose one of your other units, and then choose up to 4 other units with the same name, and they all get +5k. So I guess your ideal situation would be something like, it doesn't matter what the grade 1s are, but something like this, where there's 2 flower screens and 2 Maiden of water pots. Use flower screen to copy the water pots. Maiden of Kanas here, you counterblast 1, put it in soul. They all get +5, so it's pretty strong. So if you didn't know by now, that's kind of the point of the deck, is to make your units get big. And there's some on-hit effects as well. That's pretty simple. I guess that's what Nectar is these days. For our triggers, we run 4 heals. I do not think there's a Maiden of heal, but this one's okay. A Fairy Light Dragon. This one's Maiden of. It's Maiden of big name. Dimophateca. It's the trial deck critical trigger, but it is a Maiden of. So that's nice to have. We run 4 of these and then 3 other crits. This one's Sukendon, but you can run whichever crits you want, I believe. I don't think any crits have effects that you can use. There's the Asha one, but this deck's kind of budgety, so we don't run Asha, at least not for grade 4s. Grade 3s we can't. So because we don't run any grade 3 Ashas, none of the ranunculus related stuff support works. But we do run 5 stand triggers. 4 is the Maiden of Daybreak, and 1 is Watering Elf. So what Maiden of Daybreak does is it's a GB1, and you put this card back to your deck from the field. You choose a unit, and then 2 units with the same name as that unit get +5. So it's a pretty nice card. It is a stand trigger, and we do hit big numbers, so we stand our big number guys. Then if it's in our hand or something, we can put it back to the deck and give 2 units +5. What you do need to note is that this card is technically a negative -1, but you do give 2 units +5, so it kind of like you minus yourself to push more power out, and hopefully either put more pressure on them or kill them. And then lastly, we run Watering Elf as a 1 of. It's an effect trigger. You put it into your soul, choose a unit, it gets +5. It matters like a little bit. It barely matters, but it can matter in the future. In some certain case, I chose this over a Maiden of Vanilla trigger. I didn't think it mattered too much, so I put it in instead. So that's all we have for the main deck. For our grade 4s, pre-update on the sets, the 16G zone expansion. So we have 8. We run 4 Protector Lotus Maiden of Yggdrasil. It's actually the main card we use. I don't think I've ever used any other stride besides this card yet. It's Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. If you have a heart with Maiden of in its card name, choose up to 3 units with Maiden of in his card name from your front row. They get +5. And then the skill can auto. When this unit attack hits the Vanguard, look at the top 5 units from the top of your deck. Search for up to 1 card with the same name as a unit on your Vanguard or Rearguard circle. From among them, call it to Rearguard and shuffle your deck. So like I said earlier, it's really good. It gives on-hit pressure and it makes your lanes pretty big. If you want, you can compare this card to Sanctuary Guard Regalia. It's obviously not as good, not as broken, but it's kind of like that. It makes your lanes semi-big, and it gives an on-hit effect actually, but it's not free. So yeah, this card is just really good. When it comes into play, you kind of know you get pluses if it hits. If it doesn't hit, they're shelling out a lot of guard. Next, we run 2 on-hit cards. What it does, it's called Maiden of Princess of Spring Arborea. When this unit hits the Vanguard, choose one of your rear guards. Search your deck for up to 1 card with the same name as that unit. Call it to Rearguard, shuffle your deck, and it gets +2k. So like I said, it's kind of budgety, this deck, so it's not fully optimal. I guess I'd probably run 2 of the grade 4 Ashas from set 4, because I don't believe it needs a Asha Heart, and it's a good effect. But these are okay. We don't even really go into these anyways. It's really just these that we go into. If I had the Ashas, I also don't know if I'd use them, because this is just generally better, but as first stride anyways, and then second stride, maybe the Asha would be better. Maybe. For next, we run the last 2 cards that we don't use too much, is 1 Primavera and 1 Blizza. Blizza is just a card that we can use in here. We don't ever use it at all. Primavera is in here because she's kind of nice. What it does is you counterblast 3, choose 5 normal units from your drop zone, put it back to your deck. Choose 2 rear guards, and then choose up to 2 of each of those units and call them to the rear guard from your deck. It's really good because it's when this unit attacks, so you kind of get more attacks per turn and stuff. It is kind of a hefty cost though, but we don't really use it anyway, but it's just a nice card to have. So that's our basic deck. In terms of combos, basically what I showed you earlier, you just kind of get big numbers and stuff. Your deck's kind of versatile, but it's kind of one line of play. You just stride into this thing, get your pluses, hit big numbers, and hope they die. But normally I don't ever usually Legion, but it is a nice option to have if you need to. So yeah, that's the basic deck list. If you have any comments or questions or concerns or suggestions, please leave one down in the comment box down below. And if you liked or enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Normally we do keep up with updates, so every Wednesday normally you'll see a deck profile, and Monday and Friday it's another video. Normally it's a matchup. Sometimes occasionally we do get some new things that come out. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.